Hello, my friends. Welcome back to a special episode about rug hooking. This has been a plan of mine for so long, so I'm so glad I'm finally sitting down to chat with you about something that I love in the fiber arts, even though it's not necessarily in a format that you can learn from. But I think it's a good way of promoting this art and about I just want to tell you about my own journey. About 8 years ago, I was able to finally take a class. Maybe it was even a little bit longer, but I had first heard about rug hooking from a friend of mine in Maryland who herself was practicing rug hooking and who also came from a family where it was an art form that had been done by the mother and the grandmother, and I think also by my friend's aunt. I was totally intrigued because I loved the concept of what women did to repurpose something that was worn out, but women still wanted to make something useful for the house from that item. And I'm talking wool clothing. So what people would use is the wool that was worn out, that was maybe moth-eaten over the summer or whatever, but they wanted to use whatever was left of that fabric and turn it into something useful, and in this case, into rugs. It evolved into an art form because I feel like this is a natural thing, that you make something out of something, but you want to turn it into something beautiful. And so people came up with designs. They would not just want to work with the woolen fabrics, but they would dye them. And they would come up with designs and make beautiful rugs. I then took my first class here in New Mexico. I met my friend and first was introduced to the technique when we still lived on the East Coast in Maryland, where it's a lot more widespread, I would say. And in the meantime, even my daughter has done some rug hooking many years ago when we both first started. Actually, that was longer. Why am I saying 7 years? That's crazy. It's been, let me think for a second, probably 12 years, 13 years. Yes, and I worked then together then also with my daughter, with my teacher, whom I also call my soul sister, Kathy here. She's a fantastic artist. She's a fantastic teacher. And I have learned so much from her because she has a great feel for colors and for design. And she has excuse me, and she has just the right balance between giving you information, but then letting you loose and find your own style for your hooking project. So my daughter did something and entered it into the state fair way back then. And she actually, for a while, she loved the technique so much that even when we went on little trips, she would have to bring her rug hooking, which was kind of cool. And I have always wanted to make a floor rug, and I have loved this thought of incorporating paintings and art of my children, that whatever they have done on paper. And that's how this whole journey started into the bird rug, which I am working on right now. And I wish I had finished it, but I have not, for the UFO Make Along 2025, but that's okay because I'm going ahead and I've been hooking, and so I'm really glad about it. And but I wanted to talk also, before we go into the project, I wanted to show you how I organize my tools, because I'm keeping it very simple, and I've been keeping them in this little bag, and I've been using this for a very long time now. And it is probably a vintage toiletry bag. And I have on one side this compartment that is closed with a clip, and on the other side I have a zipper, and I need a Sharpie in here and a notebook. And for some reason I have this tiny piece of, oh yeah, this is a needle for needles. This is a very old one from my mom. I'm actually not quite sure why I have a piece of wool in here. Maybe I used to have the needles on this and then I switched them around. I don't know. Maybe I just liked the color at the time. And on the other side, I actually have a new needle case, which kindly one of our guild members gifted to all of us. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? Yeah. Oh yes, and here I put the very fat ones into this one that I really need for finishing techniques. There is another piece of fabric in here, which I do remember I just put it in here because I loved it so much. I loved the colors, and I don't know, I thought it was stunning with that bright pink in there and very uncommon color combinations in a plaid fabric. And then here is my favorite hook that I'm using most of the time. I'm gonna come a little bit closer. And you can see, while you can, as a beginner, use a crochet hook, you can see that these advanced tools have a really different tip that is better for rug hooking. And these scissors are also specialty scissors, and I have marked mine with some funky scissor jewelry and some yarn. And if you've wondered what the tin is for, it is. This is where I keep my trash in. And the nice thing is that when it's in use, it actually fits into the lid, and when I'm done, even if I'm not able to empty it or I forget or whatever, I just close it and put it back in my tool bag here. My wool fabrics are a lot of times thrifted fabrics that come home and get washed because they're supposed to be slightly felted or fulled or whatever you want to call it. And but also I like white and then over dyed fabrics. So I have taken classes with other rug hooking artists, and I have purchased hand dyed wool fabrics from them where it's just beautiful and different. And I have also dyed wool fabrics myself. I have also dyed thrifted fabrics that were on a lighter, that had a lighter color and or were white, off-white, and that were thus easily to work with in terms of dyeing. Yes, I keep the wool. Sadly, I gotta say I got 4 bins like this big. This one. In the garage that are full of wool fabrics, and it's a bit stressful, I gotta say, because I feel like, when am I ever gonna use all this? But when you work on a project, it's actually nice to be able to have a variety of fabrics at home. I recently sorted the other part of my wool fabric stash, and that's the part that I keep in the house. And I have purchased shallow plastic bins with a seal, and I have sorted the wool that's in the house by color, family. So I have yellow and orange, I got pink, maybe I got red with the pink, I'm not sure. I got blues and greens, and I feel like I'm forgetting about one. And I sorted the fabrics in their upright. So I folded them like this. And when I look into the bin, I can see the colors next to each other. And I thought that is going to be a system that I will be able to, that will come handy now. Then I have another shallow bin for my current project. I don't even know, I think I'll put that upstairs here somewhere. The kids' rug with the kids' drawings of both of my children, an oval one. I did not bring you that now because I wanted to finish my son's bird rug, and then I'm going to start something new that I wanted to show you as well. But yeah, like I said, my new sorting system, I think that's going to work very well. And I have a beeline cutter. For those of you who are in rug hooking, you will recognize that. It's a very nice one, and I usually, most of the time, I use strips size 6 or 8. And I also have another bin with a lot of leftover strips where everything is mixed up. And I think sometimes it's my favorite. They're my favorites to work with. And I will show you an area on the bird rug where I've worked from that bin, which was really, really fun. Even though initially I was a little bit scared because I had high expectations of myself, but I think it turned out really, really nice. Before we go into the rug and look at the rug, I wanted to show you something else that I have thrifted and like to use. And these are vintage shallow, they almost look like laundry baskets. I think they're super cute. And in this case, so I have put in them the wool strips that I am most likely going to use next for the bird rug. And here, because I thought, well, am I going to remember what this is set aside for if I have a break of like 4 or 6 weeks or 2 months? Probably not. So I've learned my lesson, and I have written on a sticky note what the fabric is meant for. And here I just, while I was sorting through wool strips, I have also marked these here because I recognized that they were the same as another border that I had already worked, but there's a whole strip. And I will show you this. So this is the original, and I made a copy and then laminated it with packaging tape. And so this was, I should start from the beginning, this was a pastel drawing that my son made in school. And in the original, it has a frame like about this wide with another dark line the way it is here. But as you can see, it's a square, and I did want this to be a floor rug, a floor mat, and so I decided I will turn this into a rectangle. And we worked with a teacher that in a class that was organized by my local Rughooking guild. And please, if you are local to me, Albuquerque, New Mexico, and you are interested in learning or joining the guild and participating in meetings and exchange and whatnot, and sometimes retreats that usually last for 3 days, do get in touch. Shoot me an email, okay? We always love to meet new people and always hope to grow the guild, because this technique needs to survive, I want to say, which sounds kind of scary because it should not even be an issue. It should be treasured and promoted as a fiber arts technique. But now I'm going to go to the rug. You've seen the original, and now you see my rectangular version, and there's now only, from the picture section, only one area missing that you will see in a second. I can't talk when I lift this up, that's why, because then you can't hear me. Of course, you can see that this area, which is all one, that needs to be filled in, and that's the fabric which I plan to use that you've seen in that little, in the mini laundry basket. And I still need to hook that last line, which I also showed you. That's again going to be this dark red, and to match this line. And I have not yet decided on this, but Kathy, my teacher, my mentor, my soul sister, she said she can envision a warm brown for that border. And it's kind of funny because I personally, I'm good with colors and I can combine colors pretty well for knitting. But for rug hooking, I cannot see this. I don't see a border. I cannot envision this. So I would probably have to just pull out a few browns from my browns, some browns, and just lay them out and see how they work out. And in this, for this picture, I have dyed a few of the wool fabrics, like this one, for example. And now let me come closer and I'll show you a few of the areas where I grabbed from my mix of noodles, as they're also called. That was this one. And it's kind of like as if you're painting. If you don't know what rug hooking is, this is like you paint in. You hold your woolen strip under the fabric and you pull through with the hook loop by loop. And that's how your surface gets filled. I took a class many years ago, I don't know how many, pre-COVID, a few years, many years, yeah, because it was pre-COVID. That's when I worked on this flower, and I think that was really fun and amazing, and it turned out great. It's a fairly important element in the original picture. And just recently, and that's the area where I was super excited about how it turned out, I hooked this flower and its stem. And that's the one that I was very nervous about and where I was super thrilled with how it turned out. In the class, we also learned how to do different techniques, like work here with a very, very wide strip. As you can see, it's probably like this wide. And also, do I remember how I did this? No, I don't. But I think this was the veins in this leaf were also done in a technique. I think it's almost like crocheted, something similar with this strip. I just cannot tell you. So, and I already showed you the scissors. So what you do is, in the end, when you get to the end of your strip, you let it end toward the right side of your design, and then that's why you need scissors that lay flat on your work. Yes, and that's the bird rug. So I hopefully will get this done this year. So maybe it's going to be a Christmas present for my son. I mean, it's not going to be a surprise. He's seen it. But I've asked him, do you want it? And he said, yes, of course. So that makes me happy. I did want to show you something that I have finished in the past that I really think is very funky and funny and cute, because I do a lot of zippered pouches. I wanted to incorporate a hooked piece into a zippered bag, and I had this old I mean, a vintage zipper, obviously. And just did some, use some corduroy on the inside. And this is the design on the other side. I had some yarn samples from a local yarn company. I think they're shut down by now. But I had these, you know how they give out these yarn cards. That's what they had, and you could buy them, I think 5 for $1 or so. So I bought a lot of those and used them here. And you can hopefully see the glitter. And I wanted to, design wise, I wanted that swirly thing on this side and just a little bit bring it over to the other side of the pouch. And for this one, I'm gonna put on my glasses because it's been a while. I just don't want to tell you any nonsense. Oh, see, I had a very thin strip of wool, but then I hooked in here a companion, a glittery wool that changes color. Love how that turned out. Yeah. And I have, but now I have plans. So this was one of my early projects, and it was kind of hard to do the hand stitching for me, but I think it turned out okay. But now I want to do 2 more floor rugs, and both of them I would like to go in my bedroom. And a good while ago, I had contacted a Rughooking teacher that a friend of mine took a class with, and I saw the result of what she made in that class, and that was an armadillo. So I contacted the teacher and I said, hey, can I buy that pattern? And she actually ended up gifting it to me. And here I can show you something else that is very important in rug hooking. What is it called? Dotted fabric, something? It's super thin, so when you trace your pattern onto your linen or burlap or whatever you use for hooking, in my case it was linen, you actually can just use your Sharpie and it goes through to your linen. Or also, if you only have the design on paper, you can lay the fabric onto the paper and then trace it onto the dotted fabric. I'm not sure if that's what it's called. Oh my gosh, I don't know what this all is. See that? Okay. So I love armadillos, and I can still tell you, I remember when I was so excited when I saw one in the wild for the very first time in Texas. I was so happy and so excited. And so the armadillo, to hook the armadillo, is going to be super fun. Again, I would like to turn this into a rectangle, but I have not really given it a lot of thought yet because I'm not there yet. And then the other design that I want to make is, this is something that one of my guild members designed, and it is by Darlene, and I asked her, hey, I want to buy that pattern, and and she actually gifted it to me. Also, people are so nice, right? Can we just say that? people are so nice, and to everybody who shared their knowledge and material and whatnot. Thank you. Thank you. And here is the snake. Yes. Okay. Yeah. I always thought at some point I was going to hook a sheep, but I don't know. These speak to me a lot more. And at this point, at least, I gotta say, maybe I'm going to hook a sheep eventually in 10 years or so. But what I'm seeing with this one, for one, it has a nice shape that I would like. And the material is, gosh, what is this? This could be actually bleached linen, I think. Because it's a lot, yeah, look at that. This is the bird, and this is this. So it's probably bleached linen. Yeah, and what I envisioned for this is something, you're gonna laugh, something psychedelic and colorful and kind of maybe neonish, but no concept yet. No serious plans made yet. But I've seen this hooked by Darlene, and I just love how it can turn out so differently, you know, with a different hooking style, with a different color, with different color planning. And so yeah, so I can't wait to dig into this. And I'm thinking that maybe I'm even gonna start with a snake, because then I don't need to fudge with the size and the design at all, but I can just get going. Yes. And in the meantime, I wish you all a lot of fun with your creative endeavors, and enjoy the spring.